Okay, hi there. We are live. Just going to fine tune my laptop with the phone camera, and we're good to go. Okay. Hi, Jamie. Hello, hello. Hi, Cindy. Okay, people are coming in. That's great. We're going to do part two of the fine silver stack rings. I did part one 2 weeks ago when we just made plain stack rings, and well, I added one ring that had a flower on it, but that was just a teaser for today. Hi Tammy, hi Judy, hi Kim. Good. All right, getting a nice crowd in. So what I'm gonna do is, first off, guys, this is just like a real simple uh, kind of ring making. There's much more involved, but this is great if you're just starting out or you kind of want to add to whatever you've been doing. I don't get real technical with the things that I make. I try to stay relatively simple. It works fine for me. It may be a little unsophisticated for some, but I have fun with it, and I like to pass along stuff that I do, and hopefully you'll like it too. Hi, Mary. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera down, and I'm going to show you. If you didn't see part one, you can always catch it on my YouTube channel. Facebook is definitely wiping out saved videos. This we knew for a while, but it's going to, I think, pretty much be in place by the end of next month, something like that. I know I get notices periodically saying that my demo from March something or other is being deleted, so make sure you download it if you want it. Um, so I have been moving all of my demos over to YouTube as soon as I do them. So there's a whole library of everything I've done for almost 5 years. So you can always catch it there. I will link the address to my YouTube channel. I'd appreciate if you subscribe if you have not. Um, and you can find everything. And one of the nice parts of having it on YouTube is that the titles are all there. Um, on Facebook, when you looked in the video section, it didn't give you a title of that video. So you would have to hunt um, for a specific video, which is time consuming, and it was really not a good setup, but it was fine for a while anyway. So you can always find them on my YouTube channel. Okay, so we did, like I said, just the plain stack rings last time, and I'm going to show you some other things that we can do. I'm going to move the camera down. Hi, Suzanne. Okay, so hopefully you can see these clearly enough. And what I have here are, it's a variety of things that I use to attach to my stack rings. And here, right here, I'm going to use my little awl here as a pointer. These are little water castings that I did previously. Maybe that's too close. I don't know. Um, they're just little cups of fine silver. I did a video on this quite a while back. These are great fun to make. So you can solder these on to stack rings. I also have some little round balls here that I just made with fine silver. We'll make some today, so you'll see how that's done. I have some 4 millimeter bezel cups right here, and I have tube settings. These are 4 millimeter tube settings right here, and then the corresponding cubic zirconia to fit in the tube settings. And I also have some 4 millimeter turquoise cabs that will be for the bezel cups. Also, you could use flowers. These are sterling silver flowers that I got on Rio Grande. And uh, this is the flower that we soldered last time, but they also have several other shapes. I think these are cherry blossoms here. And they also have lots of little embellishments like these bees. This one looks more like a fly to me. I don't know, but it came under the title as a bee. But these are two distinctly different ones. And they have other things. They have leaves and stars and um, all a bunch of solderable embellishments. So those are just a few things that I wanted to show you. Hi, Nancy. Glad you were able to make it. Okay, so I have a few rings that I already made from last time, and I'll make one just to show anybody who hasn't or missed the first part. I'll make one and you can see how the rings are formed, and then we'll go on from there. If you have any questions or comments, you can always add them uh, in the comment section. Hopefully, I'll see them right away. If not, I will answer them when I do. Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to use some 14 gauge fine silver wire. Start off with that to make a simple stack ring. Hey, Debbie. Okay, so I've got some 14 gauge fine silver round wire. Get this stuff over to the side so we don't drop it. And I'm going to use this handy dandy little ring sizer. It's just a little plastic thing. It looks like a belt. And it actually acts like a belt. It's got a little slot in there that you uh, put in. You put the belt in there, and then you can measure your finger to the appropriate size. Okay, so there's a little arrow on here, and where the arrow is, when it fits comfortably, that's the size. You need to be able to get it on and off, not too easily, not too hard. So that there's a little tweaking that may need to be done in that area. Okay, so let's say my middle finger is a 10, okay? Maybe just a skosh smaller. No, I'd say 10. Okay. And when I work with fine silver, um, I measure the wire um, to the size that I need. I measure this. So, hey, Patty. Hi, Donna. Okay. So I measure, I'll show you this. I'll turn the camera down again. I got a new mat. That other one that I had was so junky, is so stained that I just had to do another one. I know this will get crummy uh, fairly soon, but it's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is get my Sharpie marker here. So I said for this middle finger, I need a size 10. And you line up the arrow at the tip of the wire, okay? At the very tip. And then I'm going to go to, I need a 10, but because I'm going to be banging on it on the ring and the metal stretches, it moves as you're hitting it. I'm going to make it 2 sizes smaller. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to mark it here at an 8. Okay. This is for fine silver, not for sterling. Okay. Now I'm going to flush cut. Well, I guess it doesn't matter so much. Flush cut is the best way, but I'm also going to be using my miter vise to make sure that both ends of this wire are completely flat or flush. And to do that, I'm going to use my miter vise. And I explained this in the video last time, but just for the sake of those who might not have seen it, I'm going to put, there's a little rectangular or square, I guess it's a little square stop that's in the miter vise. So I put the wire in from behind and let that part that needs to be filed just sticking out of the very top. So it takes off that edge. And then I'm taking a flat file and I'm just going to file that little point off. Okay, so now it's nice and flush. So I'm going to take it out and put the other end of the wire in, again, using that little square stop as where I line it up. Tighten the screws. Just make sure the littlest bit that needs the filing is sticking out. But I need 3 hands. Okay, and then tighten that up. Make sure it stays against that little stop. I can feel that point. And I'm going to file that nice and smooth, nice and flat. Okay, nice and flat. Okay. Stuck. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I have 2 flush ends. And before I solder, I'm going to shape these into the shape of a D, of the letter D. So that way my wire will be end to end. And the chances of it soldering properly are much better than if I did not do it this way. When you try to do it end to end in a round shape, it doesn't quite seat very well. All right, so now I've got end to end here, nice and tight. Can't see any air through it or light through it. And now I'm going to move over to my soldering area. And since it's fine silver, it doesn't need any flux or any paste solder or solder. So I'm just going to circulate the heat around the wire. And I usually always keep the split end, the open end towards me so I can see it a little bit better. And I'm just using a micro torch and just circulating the heat all the way around the ring. And the silver, before, as it's getting heated up, it turns kind of a whitish color. And then as it gets hotter and ready to fuse, then it gets on a silvery color. And as soon as it turns silver, you want to zero in on that join, so that way you're not melting anything. Kind of zero in on that. And I'm going to flip this over when I find my tweezers. I just had them. I'm going to just flip it over and make sure that I've got it fused on both sides. You have to be very careful, because once it starts to get real silvery and slick looking, you could melt the ring very easily. There we go. Okay. Tweezers, where have you gone? Oh, I know what I did. I took them in the other room earlier. I forgot that I left them there. Okay, so I quench it, and now it's solid. It's not the best job. It's a little bumpy there. All right, well, the proof of it being soldered right is when you put it on the ring stick, the ring mandrel, and give it some wax. My ring stick is really pretty beat up. So, all right, I'm going to take my chasing hammer. What I do when I'm tapping this, as it's getting larger, I want to make sure that I flip the ring over and continue to tap, and that way it is even on both sides of the ring. Flip it again. I'm just hammering some texture into it now with the ball peen end. Now, if the ring starts to get a little bit wonky or wavy, you can just take a bench block and take care of that issue right there. And that'll get into the right. Okay, that's actually good right there. Okay. Okay, so we have a ring. We have a stack ring. And it's got the hammered finish from the ball peen end. Now you can give it different finishes, and I did explain that in the last demo. So we're just going to continue on with this one and put an embellishment on it. I want to back up. Well, not really back up, but I want to show you this while we're here. I have a charcoal block that I make the silver balls on. And if you haven't done this before, it's kind of fun. I'm going to take some 14 gauge sterling wire, not sterling, fine silver. We're working in fine silver. And I'm just going to cut, I don't know, maybe half an inch or so depends on how big you want your balls to be. Okay. All right. Okay. So I've dug where oh I need my tweezers. Excuse me, I have to go get them. Sometimes I'm just a bear of little brain. Okay, so I've cut a piece of wire. This is probably just about a ½ inch. And I've dug out, you could just even use your tweezers if you wanted to. And I just kind of dug out a hole in the charcoal block. These are great for making the balls, and they don't roll around when you have the hole dug out. Okay, so I'm just going to lay my piece of wire over the hole. Okay. And take my charcoal block, or take my micro torch and heat up that wire, and it just kind of like falls in the hole. And I just kind of go round and round, and that just forms into a nice round ball. It is as easy as can be. All right, so I'm going to take my ball out and quench it. And you have a nice, smooth, round ball. The bottom is a little bit gnarly on the bottom. I mean, it's just not as smooth, and that's okay. But we're going to sand that down a little bit before we put it on the ring. And you can make these whatever size you want. So if this isn't big enough for you, you can just put this back in the hole, cut off another little piece of silver, and put it back in there, and it will get larger. So that is one ball. And just for comparison's sake, I made this one a little earlier. That's a little bit bigger. But, it just really is, depends on your preference. All right. So those are ready to go. And, sometimes you might need them in other projects, so you might want to just have a little bit of time and make several of them. I know I do that periodically. When I don't have a lot going on, sometimes I'll just make little parts and pieces so that I have those things ready when I need them. I did a video, like I said, a demo on water casting quite a while back, which you can also find on the YouTube channel. That is great fun. And I made a bunch of them. So I have a box with a whole bunch of different ones in here. And I did size some of them out so that I could have pairs. That's a little hard to do, to make them exactly even. But if you're just using one here and there, it really doesn't matter what size they are. It's just a matter of what you like. So there are lots of different choices with these as well. They look cute on a little ring. And if you make the water casting a little bit larger, you could actually put a tube setting in there and set a stone. It's a little tricky, but I've done it, so it can be done. Okay. Now these are very rounded at the bottom, on the bottom, and I'll show you how we handle that before soldering them on. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we have the tube setting, we have the ball, we have the water casting, and we have the bezel cup and the flower or the bee, whatever. I'm not going to do all of them because it's just too much. And I really don't need any more rings. In fact, it occurred to me um, that if you wanted to buy any of these rings that I'm making, you certainly could do that, depending on the size they are, of course, and what's on them. So if you have any interest in that, you can always message me because I have more jewelry and stuff that I don't have. I'll never need it or use it, and I'm done selling like shows and stuff like that. So if there's something that I make during a demo and you're interested in purchasing it, I'd be happy to let it go. All right. So I'm going to use a third hand, and I had an embarrassing time last demo with getting the ring to stay on the third hand without shifting. And I hope we don't have to go through that again. Hopefully I've got that taken care of. Now, if you can see where the seam is in your ring, I would try to put your embellishment there, but not if you've done a really good job, you won't find that seam. But I like to try to hide it if there is one there. What I normally do is I try to make a little spot and flatten it where I'm going to put my embellishment on because this is rounded and the embellishment sometimes is a little rounded like the balls. So you want to make sure you're doing flat to flat. That's going to stay on best. It's also going to look best. So what I normally do is mark off with a Sharpie where I want to flatten that area that I want to flatten. And I do it on the side as well because as I'm filing, I'll flatten the stuff on the top, the Sharpie mark on the top off. And I just use a flat file, which I just had in my paw. Oh, here it is. And I'm just going to give it some swipes. Now, if you're not patient, you can take your flex shaft and a white coarse disc that has got grit in it. This is the hard one. And you can kind of just zap it a little bit and flatten a spot out. That works fine. You just have to make sure you don't go too far with that. And just flatten that area. I could put that in the ring stick too, I suppose, and file it, but why make it easy? All right, I think that's sufficient. And Tanya Davidson had a demo years ago where she used nanotape, which I thought was brilliant. It comes in a roll like this. Got it on Amazon. And you just cut off a little piece and put it on a flat surface like a stamping block, something like that. And you can attach, it's got a little film on there. You can attach pieces that you need to sand because these are like impossible to hold on to when you're sanding because they're so small. And then she had a sanding. Oh, I lost my balls. Oh, here they are. Don't panic. Okay, sorry. I just, I'm kind of crazy, so bear with me. So I've got this on here, and then I've just got an emery board, and I'm going to push that in a little bit, and then sand the bottom, the round part of that cup, the casting cup here. Just enough so that it's not sitting up too high and that it's flat. So you can test it out. I thought this idea was brilliant. And you would do the same thing for the silver balls. All right. Now they can dig into this tape, the little embellishments, and sometimes when you peel them off, some of the tape comes off with it. So you want to make sure there's nothing stuck on there before you solder it. So that's nice and flat on the bottom. All right. So that should sit very well on this ring. So we'll go with that for the first one. And I'm using paste solder. That's my preference. I use the brand from Peppy Tools because it doesn't have any, I believe it's cadmium, and that's like bad stuff, so you don't want to be breathing that. If you have that kind already and you want to use it up, just make sure that you have lots of ventilation. You should always have ventilation when you're soldering anyway, but you want to make sure that, especially with the bad stuff. So I'm going to take a little bit of paste solder and put it on here. Get all the stuff that could catch on fire away from me. And now I'm going to position that. I've got the little Sharpie marks on here, so this area I know is flat. Put that in my third hand. And then you want to make sure that you're in the middle of the piece you're soldering on. You know, like you don't have too much one way or the other. You want to be dead center. And I always put like a weight, something like that, on my third hand so it doesn't move. You can see that. Okay. So I should be ready to go here. And just heat everything up. That third hand kind of sucks up the heat, so it takes a little while to get it all nice and hot. The paste solder smokes a little bit. That's okay. That's normal. It goes away in a second. Go on both sides. Make sure it's nice and evenly heated. Solder is just starting to flow. do it. You quench the whole thing, the third hand and all, and it's on. Now, because I use the paste solder, um, it's got some oxidation on there, and I will put this in the pickle. Actually, I won't. I'll just clean it here, like I do on some of my other stuff, just for a quick demonstration. But I love these little bezel, or these little water castings. I think they're really cute. So, so that's one. Okay, putting on water casting. Hi, Deb. Hi, Mary. Okay. All right. So the next one up, I'll do just a basic bezel cup. This is 4 millimeter bezel cup. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to turn that upside down, the bezel cup. Put a little bit of solder on top of that. A little paste solder. This is easy solder. And if you're working on top of the area that you just worked on, your solder is going to melt, you know, quickly on top because it's still, the solder board is hot, which is fine. Just be careful. Okay, this one I need to flatten just a little bit on the ring side. I mean on the ring. And I'm going to pick a spot right here. That I'm going to flatten down a little bit. This one I did with the hammer texture, the flat embossing hammer, this one that makes the lines. I really like that that effect. Just flatten that out a bit. It's just so it looks better, and it's um, the flat to flat is gonna seat a lot better than trying to solder on a curve or a point. Okay, that's probably good enough. Get that in. A lot of it is in the positioning of your third hand. All right, there again, you want to make sure you're on equal sides of the bezel cup so it's centered properly. Put a little weight on here. Okay. This ring was 12 gauge wire, I believe. feels a little thicker than the one I just did. With the bezel cups, you don't want to stay on too long because they're pretty thin and you can annihilate them fairly easily. Wrench. And the bezel cup is on. It's a little crooked. Darn it. I hate when that happens. All right, well, I'm going to try to fix it and hopefully not embarrass myself as I usually do. What do I need to do to fix that? I guess I need to move it over just a little bit because it seems like one side of the cup is a little higher than the other. All right, well, here goes nothing. All right, give this a little spritz of flux, because why not? And I need to move this slightly as it's being soldered, so this will be dicey. Here goes nothing. Sometimes it's best to leave well enough alone, but I really didn't like that. So I'd rather it be a fail and me take it off than to leave it a little bit crookedy. By Jove, I think I got it. Yep, I'm amazing myself. Yep, that's on. It's on straight now. One one end of it was just up, just slightly, but now it's okay. All right. So that's two. Now we'll go on to a tube setting. If you're not familiar with tube settings, they're very cool, but you need to know that there's a top and a bottom or a right and a wrong side. Okay. These tube settings have the top is thin, the bottom is thicker. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but this is solid and thicker. The wire is just, it hasn't been thinned out on the bottom. The top has been thinned out a little bit because it has a seat inside that is manufactured this way. And that seat is where your stone is going to sit. Okay, it's like a little collar or whatever you want to say. When you put your stone in there, it kind of seats into there, and then you're going to push this wire over the top of the stone just slightly, and I'll explain that as I'm doing it. So when you're soldering, you want to make sure you're soldering the thick end to your ring band, okay? Because it won't work if you do it the other way. So make sure the thick end is up on your soldering board. Okay. And pick out another ring here. And I guess I will go with that one. Fits me pretty good. I could do it with this too. All right, I'm going to put it on this 12 gauge thicker band. And here again, I want to flatten the top just a little bit. So I'm just using a flat needle file for this. That'll work. Doesn't take much. Okay, so for this, you could do it the other way and have the tube setting facing upward. But I've just had better success doing it upside down. I probably want a little more paste solder on this one. But you don't want to overload the tube settings with solder because it can flow into that seat line where you're going to put your stone, and then your stone won't fit right. Don't give me issues here. There again, you want to make sure that you're even on both sides, and I'm not. Okay. Little weight on there. Heat it all up evenly. This is thicker wire, so it's taking a little bit longer. Honestly, I can't tell. I think the solder has flowed, but I'm not positive. So I'm going to check it out. That's hot. And it did. It's soldered and it's right on the money. All right. I'm going to go pop these 3 in the pickle right now, and then I'll come back and we'll solder on a ball. Note to self, don't walk while you have your magnifying glasses on. That would have been great to fall on my butt. Okay, so now we do the ball. For the ball, I dug a little hole in my soldering board where I'm going to put the ball. Rounded side down. And just keep it from rolling around. I really shouldn't have put it that close to the edge. That was kind of dumb. And it's kind of small. Oh well. Live and learn. You guys with me? Okay. Yeah, Mary. It's always a challenge when I do something live. You never know. You never know. It's a great way to embarrass yourself. Okay. Oh, I didn't sand this one down. Okay. Well, I guess I'll use the bigger ball. Oh no, I sanded this one. Use this one. So that's the same principle as using that little block with the nano tape in it. And I have 2 rings left. So this one, and maybe I'm going to try to be, uh, live dangerously and do one of those bees and see how that happens, or how that works. Where'd you go? There we go. So this is where I want the ball to sit. All right. And get some solder, some paste solder. And I'm soldering fine silver to fine silver. And technically, you really shouldn't need any uh, solder. But I like to use the paste solder because it helps hold things together. Um, and it's like a little extra insurance, too. All right. So stay there. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. That would be sad if you really can't tell. Check in to see if I'm on evenly. The paste solder is kind of squishing out, so I can't really see if it's exactly centered or not. But I think it is. We'll find out. Back here. I guess the hole could have been a little bit bigger. And I guess we'll fix that because it needs to go right. So I'm just going to dig this hole out just a little bit more. Where'd my ball go? Oh, there it is. Bloody hell. Okay. All right, now I have to add a little bit more paste solder because I pretty much got rid of it. It's way too much. And now it's sticking to my finger. All right. Temperamental. Get in the hole. The solder just complicates it because it's sticking to my finger and my tweezers. Okay, now this is not good. I should have never put that hole there. Oh, that's probably not the biggest issue. All right, we'll go for it. Are you in the frame? Am I in the frame? Hopefully that did it. Can you hear that sizzle when I quench it? Okay, it's on. There again. Just slightly off center. But you know something? When you make these stack rings and you're putting the embellishments on, how they line up is kind of an important thing when you're adding multiples because you want them to kind of nest. So sometimes actually having something just a little bit off center is good if you're going to wear it as a multiple because it kind of nests in there the right way. So I'm going to leave this one the way it is, and we'll see. But if somebody wants it, it's the right size or whatever, and you want it straight, I can easily straighten that out. So, okay, so that's that one. Now, let's try to add a bee on one of these, and this will be my last one. So hopefully we go out with a bang. And I mean a good bang, not a bad one. Okay. All right. So the bee has kind of a hollow under the body. And before I started this demo, I added a little piece of fine silver wire in his body cavity. I've never done this before, so I don't know how this is going to work, if it's going to work. But I had a feeling it needed a little bit more to grab onto, and we'll see if that theory works or not. Which one will I do? The other thing is there's the threat of melting off his little arms or feet or whatever, the little things that come out. So that's an area of concern. All right, so let's flatten a little spot out for this guy and see what happens. I mean, if all else fails, you can reheat and pull the stuff off, if it doesn't work off. As long as you haven't melted your silver into a puddle. And for this, I think I'm going to save a little time and use my micromotor to sand a little spot wherever I put my, here we go, my little thing here. I should have a dust mask on for all these little silver crumbs, but I don't. So don't you do that. If you're going to do this kind of thing, you should have a mask on. All right. Mark those where I want the bee to sit. And we'll go back here and figure out how he's going to be oriented. I think I want him to go this way. Or do I want him to go this way? I think this way. Okay, so I'm going to put the bee here. this upside down. Paste solder. I hope it's not painful for you guys to watch this. Of me trying to figure out stuff that maybe somebody else would go right to, but I'm not that person. Now, if I don't melt this guy, it'll be great. Now, he's going to probably move because that piece of fine silver that I put in there is not melted all the way down. So he's probably going to move when it starts to solder, when it starts to melt. Here goes nothing. In theory, it should work, but it doesn't mean that it will. So we shall see. Don't burn off your limbs, please. Oh, he moved. That's exactly what I thought would happen, or might happen. Okay, I'm going to stop right here and assess the situation. Usually my hands aren't that steady, so I don't know if this will work or not. Oh, he's going on the wrong way. All right. I may have to stop and pickle him because he's got a lot of fire scale on him. He's on the wrong way. Damn it. He stood there or sat here and held him. His little feet are on though. Well, I'm going to redo him and turn him the other way because I would prefer him to be that oriented the other way, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to get those other ones out of the pickle. This is doable, but I'm not going to spend that much time on it here live because this guy needs to be pickled and resoldered. So I'm going to stick him back in the pickle pot and get the other guys out and clean them up, and then we'll see what we've got. Okay. All right. So I got these guys out of the pickle, and I'm going to clean them up with a brush with a let's see, just going to try to blast off some of this stuff, and just for sake of time, just so we can set them. Because normally what I do is clean all this stuff up and tumble them and then set the stones. Okay, stone setting is last. I'm going to speed this up a little bit just so you can see it. And then what I'll do is I'll get them all cleaned and polished, and then I'll post them after that's done. I'll post them in the group so you can see how they turned out. Well, this one I don't have to set, so I don't have to clean him anymore. This is the one with the tube setting. And this, the actually the cubic zirconium can go in the tumbler. It's not going to hurt it. It's just glass. But I still want to clean it up a little bit. Okay, where's my bowl? Here it is. This really needs to go in the pickle. It would look better. But it came out okay. So let's see. Cindy, I use swimming pool chemical, and off the top of my head, I can't think what it is, but I'll get that name for you. It's it really works great. Joni Kisro's the one who mentioned using that particular pool chemical, and it works fast. I really like it a lot. Okay, so those two. So these two need to be set, and I'll show you how I do that. Judy, this is a micromotor that I got through Eurotool, and it's portable. It's got like a coiled uh, cord and a foot pedal, and I bought it mainly because when I teach or when I taught classes, this was a lot easier than bringing my flex shaft. it's great. It's really been a good investment. Okay, so for the cabochon and bezel cup one, these could not be easier. I just put that in there, little 4 millimeter tab, and I have a bezel pusher somewhere. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. It's hiding by the quench water. Okay, I have a bezel pusher and a burnisher. And what I'm going to do, these small ones like this, you can just hold in your hand. You don't have to set them up on anything. What I'm going to do is push in one side and then go to the opposite side and push in, and then give it a quarter turn and push in, and then give it the other side. So that way you're capturing the stone all the way around evenly. And this particular bezel cup is a serrated bezel cup, and I really like the look of the serrations on there. And once I get it all pushed in, then I'm going to take my little burnisher and burnish it. This keeps the stone from falling out if you've got it pushed all the way around. It couldn't be simpler. These little bezel cups are great. Okay, so once I've got it all the way around, I'm going to take my bezel pusher and my burnisher and just burnish all the way around. Burnish that metal up against this stone. This little bezel burnisher is from Flow Studios, and it works great. This is the smaller one, and then there's a larger one for when you're working on bigger pieces. But there's lots of different kinds of burnishers out there. Okay, so that's set. Okay. So far we have three rings of various sizes. And now for the tube setting. For the tube setting, there's probably other ways that people do it too, but this is an easy way for me. I get my table vise, my portable vise here, and I put my ring mandrel in it on the end where it's not graduated. Put it in nice and tight. Okay, I have a rawhide hammer. I have to pick out a color stone. Set that here. And let's see, let's color red there. I'm a sucker for blue. Oh, important part first. I'm going to bypass that. You have to put your stone in first. I'll show you that. You take your stone and point side up, and then you're going to take your tube bezel, your tube setting, and you're going to put it directly on top of that. Push down to get your stone inserted flatly. It needs to be flush. If it's cockeyed, you're not gonna set it right. It's not gonna look right. So you want to make sure that that's the first step. You point side up, push that in, and then we're gonna put this on. You know, if you didn't get it right the first time, since the tube setting is open, has a little bit of opening on the back side, you can take like an awl and just pop that stone out and then try to set it again evenly. Then the next thing we need are tube setting punches. And I'm going to use the 4mm. It needs to fit over the stone, but not by a lot. Actually, this is a 5mm. So I'm going to put that over the stone and take my rawhide mallet. And I'm also holding on to the ring. You know, now that I'm looking at this, it doesn't look like it's in flat. It did initially. Well, there again, I'll show you. I popped it out real easy. It's good, I guess, that this stuff happens while I'm doing the demos, so that way you see how to deal with it, at least the way I deal with it. That's better. That's better. I can clearly see the wall of the tube setting all the way around. Okay, so now I'm going to put that in here. And I'm going to hold on to the ring with one of my fingers here. Where did I put the tube punch in? That it. Gads. Oh, it's right here. And then this has a little handle with a little knurled area that holds this tube punch in. And then I'm going to just go around tapping it kind of like in a circular motion like this. To get that. If you get the wrong size punch and you're close to your ring, you could actually gouge it. So you want to make sure you get the right size punch. And then you can take just the tube punch, the setting punch, and just kind of go around. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just going around this edge, moving this metal in to grab the stone. you go. And that's set. Move that metal just over the lip. Well, there's a term for it. I don't know what it is. Over the crown of the stone, I guess maybe that's what it's called. And that holds it in place. And there you go. So, like I said earlier, I will clean these all up, get them nice and shiny, and then I'll post them. I'll also play with that bee after he comes uh, out of the after he comes out of the pickle. I'll resolder him, reorient him, and resolder him, so he's on the way that I want him to be, and show you the rings that we did today. So, this Tammy, this is I think it's aqua, but I could be wrong. I'll see if I can find out. Uh, but it's cubic zirconia. It's 4 millimeter. I got my tube settings and the stones or the cubic zirconium from Halstead Beads. Uh, they have very good quality um, items, but especially I really like these tube settings. I've bought them from other places before. There's they run true to size. They have a nice thickness to them, and they have a variety of sizes. So I've set 2, 3, and 4, and 6 millimeter, but 4 is my favorite. Uh, but for a stacker, sometimes a 3 is nice too. So uh, that's a good place to go. I will put the handout in the group page in a few minutes, and whatever resources I have, I'll put those out there. And then, like I said, later I will post a picture of the finished pieces that we did today. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm always happy that you guys are with me. It makes it so much easier. I've gotten a lot more comfortable, over the years doing these things, and I always find that it's best when I have like a little group of friends watching and chiming in, and it just makes it more fun for me. So, in 2 weeks, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but maybe something with a journal. I had done this journal cover last week, and I showed that. And so somebody had asked if I might show how to do that. So that's a possibility. I don't know. But if you have suggestions for stuff, feel free to just post it, and I'll see if I can come up with something. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Thanks for being with me. Bye bye.